अनन्तं विभुं निर्विकल्पं निरीहं शिवं सङ्गहीनं यदोङ्कारगम्यं निराकारमत्युज्ज्वलं मृत्युहीनं परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि.
It enhances the sensitivity so much that it becomes a compulsion to become gunatita, because the sattva guna will enhance the sensitivity to everything. So you will not be able to sustain the life peacefully. It will disturb. So we have to develop the gunatita bhumi, where remaining sattva guni also, you will be able to withstand the whole universe with all its divergence. Even the criminal, the worst of the criminal, it will not upset you. You understand that this is what the world is. It is just like if we think of something like Ishvara or God himself, that he is creating all the varieties in the world, it is hosted in God, and he is not disturbed with that. That is why we think of the Nataraja dancing, the destruction is a Nataraja's dance. That means we have a fear for destruction, but actually destruction is part of the creation. As creation, destruction, they are all two sides of the same coin. So our sadhana should be to enhance the sattva guna to the extent possible. Then finally go over to cultivate the gunatita bhumi also, that is not getting disturbed by anything and not getting bound by the other day I explained, sattva guna also binds by sukha sangena badnati, jnana sangena chanagha. That also binds. So we have to get over that also. These were actually discussed last year, but I repeated them. Now, they are going to, we have started the discussion on buddhi, dhriti, and then it will be followed by sukha. That means sattvika buddhi, rajasika buddhi, tamasika buddhi, then correspondingly dhriti also. We should understand that the buddhi is by which we understand, and dhriti is whatever I have understood, I retain. Now, a sattvika buddhi will automatically lead to sattvika dhriti. When the sattvika buddhi functions, it will lead to sattvika dhriti. But it is not the full. A sattvika buddhi also, it will not have the sattvika dhriti always. It will always work for the sattvika dhriti. But unless we change our preferences, our evaluation of life, what are our taste for life? Say, what are the things I like most? And what are the things I want to become, our shraddha for, whatever we are intending to, what is our evaluation, which we are giving the highest position in life, supreme position in life. On that, the dhriti will be there. Dhriti means it has come from the retention or dharana, that means to hold. So, dhriti also has the persistence, you can say. Persistence means whatever we have the persistence, we carry on with that. And also you can say it is the retentivity. Suppose we have listened to the truth, but because of our worldly association, we are not able to retain the truth. So we understood, but we are not able to retain. So when Nachiketa in Kathopanishad, he passed the exam, passed all the tests given by Yamaraja, Yamaraja is telling that, oh Nachiketa, you are a Satya Dhriti. What does it mean? That means when the truth is given, you are able to retain it. So it will not be like a leaky vessel that every time you feel the truth and by the time you go home, the whole truth has fallen off from the hole or from the bamboo basket. It is not like that. So this Satya Dhriti we have to develop. That will not happen until we evaluate life very well. Finally, what we will become, it entirely depends on what we value most. If you value riches most, you are supposed to become rich. If you value fame most, you are supposed to become famous. If you value this ultimate goal most, that ultimate truth, or the ultimate purity, then naturally you will also become like that. Yo yat shraddha saeva saha. This is 17th chapter, 3rd verse. Shraddha mayoyam purushaha yo yat shraddha saeva saha. Man is an embodiment of his shraddha. Shraddha means it is a evaluation. What we are giving the supreme value. That we will have our most attention, assiduous attention towards that, whatever we are valuing most. So it is the shraddha which determines what we are going to become inward. Outward, whatever may happen, but inward in our mind, what we are going to become. So, the Dhriti will definitely be depending on the taste, on the evaluation in life. Otherwise, although the Satya we will understand, but we will not be able to retain. Now, whatever we understand by buddhi, we try to retain it by dhriti. Sattvika buddhi will lead to normally to sattvika dhriti, and both together, sattvika dhriti will lead to sattvika sukha also. That we will see. Now, when we are saying buddhi, there is something more to be understood. That buddhi is basically, it is coming from an understanding. Generally, what buddhi we are utilizing, intelligence or intellect, we are analyzing things. So it is, we in Sanskrit, it is a khanda buddhi, that means fragmented way of observation. Suppose we want to understand the elementary particles in a certain matter, we have to analyze it by fragmentation, going into it. And suppose we want to understand who is a good person and who is a bad person, we have to differentiate, a differential way of understanding. But there is something, the buddhi is actually originating from a wholesome understanding that we should understand. There, the buddhi, the word used in Bhagavad Gita, buddhi only is used, but in Kenopanishad, it is used as pratibodha. In Bhagavad Gita also prajna is used, prajna, pratibodha, these are the terms. In Buddhism, it is used as prajna also is used, and bodhi is used. In Rig Veda, the buddh, it is coming from, buddhi is coming from buddh, bodha. Buddh means awakening. We say Buddha, Shuddha Buddha. We sing also, chant also, Prabuddham Vimuktam. This Prabuddham means Prakrishna Rupena Buddha. That is one who has awakened very well. So when we chant that at the end of the session or so, we pray that may we become very well awakened. Awakened to what? Awakened to our real identity, to the truth. Prabuddham, Prakrishna Rupena Buddham. So it has Buddh Dhatu as such means the awakening. So one is understanding. You know that in many cases the scientists will go on analyzing with mathematics, this, that, and on many things they do. Then one fine morning they get up and the truth dawns in them. It is the statement of many scientists and others also. You will find the real truth dawns when we are not analyzing. We have done enough of analysis, that basis will be there. But the truth simply dawns in our mind. That is the real understanding, the fundamental understanding in which the reality reveals. In another sense, suppose there are various kinds of perception. That one is the pratyaksha, that means whatever is in front of our sense organs. So that is a differential perception. We see the color, we hear the sound, everything, that perceptions are coming. There is something called paroksha. Paroksha means inferential. If you really go into it, you will find that most of our knowledge are inferential. Pratyaksha knowledges are there. We are knowing various things by direct perception. But the entire scientific knowledge is actually inferential. That is, seeing something, we infer that this is it. Suppose nobody has seen the elementary particles, but seeing some experimental results, we say that it is electron, it is proton, or it is still something different from that, whatever it is changing every day. This is because it is our conclusion from whatever we are seeing. What we are seeing is the eyes. Suppose in a cloud chamber we see a path, a smoky line. That we are seeing with the eyes or with the microscope. But what we are determining from that, it is entirely an inference. If line goes like this, it is electron. If it goes like this, it is proton. If it goes without any division, it is neutron. Everything is inference. Even God is an inference. Why? Because we are seeing the world in front of us and there is everything is running by causality. So there must be a cause for the universe also, for the creation also. And that is the God. So it is an inference. But there is something different from in Western philosophy or in English, there are only these two. That is pratyaksha and paroksha. That is direct perception and inference. These are the two kinds of knowledge. In our Shastra, we have a third kind of knowledge, which is called aparoksha. Aparoksha. It is neither pratyaksha nor paroksha, but it is aparoksha. This aparoksha is a direct perception without the employment of buddhi, so-called differential buddhi, and the senses. That is what the Atma is. The realization of the self is aparoksha. It is called aparoksha anubhuti. There is a book, aparoksha anubhuti. It is an anubhuti, but it is aparoksha. We can get an idea about what is aparoksha. Suppose that I have a mind. Is it a direct perception of the indriyas? Are we seeing our mind with the senses? No. Is it an inference? No. You know that you have a mind. Is it not so? Still further you can go, that I am. That I am. Even if all our indriyas goes, I am, that feeling is not going to go. You may not know your body, you may not see your body, you may not know anything, but that I amness in us is not going to go. And if you analyze and infer that I am, it is never so. Even if I prove by some logic and so that you are not, are you going to accept? You will not accept. Because you know you are. This knowledge that I am, it is called aparoksha. But actually the aparoksha anubhuti we use in a very special sense. But this is also aparoksha knowledge. That is a direct perception without the perceiving indriyas and without any inference of the buddhi. It's a direct knowledge, you can say. Direct knowledge that I am. That amness is a direct knowledge. Exactly same that the realization of our real identity happens as when there is no buddhi, there is no indriyas, everything is silent. That is why in Kathopanishad, the sloka I have said many times that Yada panchavatishthante jnanani manasa saha buddhishchana vicheshtati tamahu paramam gatim. This is explaining the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. What is that? Yada panchavatishthante jnanani. When all the five jnanendriyas, the senses of perception, they are all avatishtante, means they are not sleeping. We are not sleeping. The indriyas are awake, but they are not functioning. They are not moving. Just like now my leg is steady. It can move. It is not sleeping, but it is not acting now. Like that, all the indriyas are non-acting, but awake. Manasasaha, even the mind also. That means mind can think, but it is not thinking. It is silent. Buddhishchana vicheshtati. The Buddhist work is always to find out and resolve, that analyze and come to a conclusion. So even when you are meditating, the buddhi will go on acting that, is this the self, is this not, like that. Or is it the ultimate, is it not, like that the buddhi will function. So when the buddhi also is still, everything is still, not that they are sleeping. Tamahu paramam gatim. Why? Because at that point, only the Atma, it reveals itself. That is, the consciousness reveals itself. So for that revelation, neither the buddhi is there, nor the indriyas are functioning. It's a direct revelation. Now, this is the fundamental truth on which everything that in our country, the cultural and everything has been based on that. That is fundamentally, this is our real identity, based on this aparokshanubhuti, that this is our soul, this is our Atma. Now, when that oneness, which is actually not oneness, it is transcendental, because when we say one, there is a many and all those concepts are there. Here there is no concept at all. It is a transcendental reality. But in a way, you can say it is one for our expression. From that, all the divergence is coming. The whole world divergence is coming from that oneness. Now, our normal, our usual lifestyle, our engagement with the world, it always takes us to this divergence. That is, although we are that transcendental oneness within, that is our real identity, we are always becoming many through interacting with the many things. This I like, that I don't like, etc. Always there is a divergence. Now, the purpose of any spiritual sadhana is to take us to the, again, converge our everything to that central oneness truth. Now, because the Indian culture, the music, the art, everything, the ragas, they are based on this fundamental truth. So even through music also we try to attain the soul. When they sing, that real singers of our country, they would get the touch of the soul through music. And what is that soul? That is the silence. That is through the music we reach the silence. That means through the variety of ragas, variety of swaras and all, they are all hosted by that single substratum. They are all playing on the single substratum, like the waves, multiple waves playing on the sea. So we always like to remain aware of the sea. Although we are in the waves, everything we are knowing, but we have to be aware of the sea, the substratum, the one substratum on which this infinite variety is playing. So our culture is always referred to as unity in diversity. You will find everywhere that we have never restricted the diversity. Diversity is allowed. In puja, we had 33 crores of devas and devis. Gods and goddesses, 33 crores. Why? Because there was at that time 33 crores of people in our country. That means it says that as many people are there, so many gods and goddesses are there. Why? Because the God is a concept of our mind. Even if 2 million people are worshipping Shiva, the Shiva in each mind is different. And that is your Shiva, what you are worshipping. So diversity is never condemned, or nobody tries to rule out the diversity. What our country tries to do through our culture, music, everything, is to anchor us to this unity. That you remain anchored there, and from there you play with all the diversity. Like the Kali's dance on Shiva. Shiva is the unity there, the soul. And on which nature, Kali represents nature. She is dancing with Mundamala and everything, with Khadga, Mundamala, everything over Shiva. Like that, this is the truth of nature, that the multifarious, infinitely various nature is dancing on that one truth, the consciousness or the Atma or the Brahman. That is it called. So whatever analysis we do, the purpose is to take us to this oneness from the diversity. If you understand that, then all these will become easy. Why? Because Sattva Guna has the nature of taking us from the differential notion to a comprehensive notion, from diversity to unity. That I have said earlier also. It is the revealer of everything. That soul is the revealer of everything. That means when the sun is revealing a beautiful rose and an ugly garbage, the sunlight is not getting affected by that. The sunlight is revealing all the colors. It is revealing the absolute ugliest thing. It is revealing the most beautiful thing also. By that, the sunlight doesn't undergo any change. Its purpose is to reveal whatever is there. The space, by hosting destruction and creation, the space doesn't undergo any change. It only hosts the destruction and creation both. So the purpose of spirituality is always to get back the anchor to that oneness, the one truth. And this sattva guna is always making us aware of this oneness. That is why in the Sattvika Jnana, the definition, other day also I said, Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate abhibhaktam vibhakteshu tad jnanam vidhi sattvikam. What is Sattvika Jnana? Sarva bhuteshu yena ekam avyayam bhavam ikshate, which makes us aware of the one unchanging, ekam avyayam, one unchanging reality in all that is seen, that is, all the beings, everything that exists. So in existence they are all variety, it's infinite variety. But in that, the sattva guna makes us aware of the one reality. What is that? We understand otherwise also the whole multitude, whatever we are seeing, is it not appearing in my consciousness? Without that we will know. Suppose here there are so many things in the molecules are there. We are not knowing them because they are not appearing in my consciousness. To know anything, it has to appear in our consciousness. Is it not so? What we are really interacting with is the image in our consciousness, whatever is appearing in the consciousness. That is why with the person you do not like, immediately you behave with a different, because in your mind, the person is not appearing. The person is appearing with all the coloration you have put for that your dislike is added to that personality. So in your mind, when that person appears, it appears with the dislike. And immediately you react with the dislike. Do you get it? So we are actually interacting everything which is appearing in our consciousness. So that is the oneness. So the world may be multifarious, but it is coming through the 5 sense organs. So you can express the whole world in terms of these 5 coordinates, the 5 senses we have. Truly speaking, even these 5 senses, if you think and scientifically also, what is the perception going within? Whether it is from the eyes or from the ears, is it not all nerve impulses? One nerve impulse go to the visual cortex and you see something. Another nerve impulse goes to excites the auditory cortex and you hear something. So inside the body, when the signals are going, the electrical signals, the pulses through the nerves are going, where is the vision, where is the sound, where is anything? Nothing is there. It's all electrical pulses. Do you agree? So those electrical pulses in going to the brain is creating the whole world. You see vision, you see this, you see that, and if the brain changes, you will see different. It will become, suppose you develop some other indriyas, then the whole world will become different. Suppose you develop a microscopic vision, then all of us will appear like elementary particles. Your all face structure, everything will go. We will see a bizarre mixture of elementary particles. So, truly speaking, it is all, the whole universe is hosted by the consciousness. They are all appearing in the consciousness. To be aware of that consciousness is to be aware of the unity in the diversity. The diversity is only a projection in that unity. The reality is that one, is that fundamental substratum. Now this buddhi also, there is a comprehensive understanding, which when we say bodhi or pratibodha or prajna, we mean this comprehensive understanding. From there, the offshoot is coming as our normal intelligence, which differentiates and understands and concludes. It's the active buddhi. But the real understanding takes place in that ikshana, we say, that where from the buddhi is coming. Now, when we say that the Sattvika buddhi, that means this Sattvika buddhi will always take us to make us aware of this oneness. It will take us, always make us convergent. Normal buddhi is always making us divergent. That I don't want this, I want to have money for that, this business has to be done, that has to be done, this business has to be closed. These are all the differential notion created by the buddhi is telling us what is to be done and what is not to be done. But Sattvika buddhi will give a wholesome idea about what is to be done and what is not to be done. In Sanskrit language, it is called Samanya Drishti. And the other one is called Samanya Pratyaya. And the other buddhi is called Vishesha Pratyaya. If you understand Sanskrit, Vishesha Pratyaya means all differentially it will know. And where from the buddhi is coming, the fundamental, it is called Samanya Pratyaya, means it will give in whole, as a wholesome picture of what is happening. Suppose a person, a very sattvic person, when a person appears, he will have a very wholesome view of the nature of the person, but the details he will not know. Detail means differentially he may not know, but he will have his comprehensive understanding of the personality. If the sattva guna is more in us, it's enhanced, then seeing anything you will have a comprehensive understanding. But when you interact and things are discovered, then you know that is why this person is behaving like that. You understand the behavior. But seeing the person, you will have a wholesome idea. So that is why in the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga it says that what is that? Jnanam yada tada vidyat sarvadvareshu prakasha upajayat. When the sattva guna increases, Bhagavad Gita says, sarvadvareshu prakasha upajayate. Sarvadvara means indriyas, all the sense organs, as if there is a prakasha and jnanam yada. There is a light and knowledge which shines in the sense organs. What is that light and knowledge? That means their perception becomes a subtler perception, a subtle understanding of what they are seeing. May not be in all detail, but they are understanding a wholesome picture of what is happening. The senses take up a new kind of a subtle vision. So apparently the people who you may think that you will try to avoid because they are not so well dressed or anything of that sort, it will not be applicable to a sattvika person. He will be having a feeling of the wholesome character of the person, and in many cases he will be able to, we will be surprised that the saint is becoming so close to him. Why? And all that. For other people it becomes difficult to understand. If we remember this, that the sattva guna is always trying to anchor us in this unity, then everything will become easy. That our worldly life is always making us divergent, and sattva guna and the spiritual sadhana is only to make us convergent, taking to as the fundamental basis as the unity, that is the truth on which the whole universe, the infinite variety is playing. Now, although the buddhi may be able to understand this truth, why are we not able to have that truth in our interactive life? Because we have not developed the Sattvika Dhriti. The moment we are interacting, if our attention, our taste, our attraction, repulsion, everything is on the diversified, the outer things and all, then this oneness we will miss. The moment we are interacting in the world, that oneness will be lost. So that unless the Sattvika Dhriti is also developed, we will not be able to have the interacting sadhana. That interactive sadhana is to establish that Sattvika Dhriti. Do you get it? That not only meditation, but to have the Sattvika Dhriti. So only Sattvika Buddhi will not do. Sattvika Buddhi should lead to Sattvika Dhriti, so that our taste changes, our evaluation changes, evaluation of the world, what is right, what is wrong. Now in the morning we are doing Kathopanishad. So it is parallelly coming to that today we were studying Shreyas and Preyas. That the world always appears before us with two kinds of choices. And Kathopanishad straight away says that don't say that it is your fate. what is your life, what is going to happen, it depends on what you choose. I said in the morning that Yoga Vasishta, a full section, Mumukshu Vyavahara Prakarana, it is on the Paurusha. Paurusha means our self-will, whatever we do with our will. So there, Vasishtha Deva is saying that with two hands raised, I am shouting that there is nothing called Daiva, nothing called Daiva. That means nothing called fate, nothing called fate. But there is nobody to listen to me. So you can understand, even in Vasishtha's time also, what was the situation. Because people always, whenever something goes wrong, they say it is my fate. But when there is something good, they don't say it is my fate. They say that I did this, that is why I have happened. Is it not? So in others' case, they will say, when the other person has very good condition also, it is his fate that he has become so rich or so famous or so. But in my case, it is not so. Is it not? So that is why Vasishtha was shouting that nobody is listening to me. Actually, our Shastras often in the Middle Ages, in the last century also, it was being condemned as it is fatalistic. Fatalistic means fate-oriented. Sab kuch bhagya hai, bhagya. You will find everywhere in villages also, people always say that it is fate, it is fate, it is God. God means again we equate with fate, that it is providence, it is fate. But our Shastras are repeatedly saying that some providential element is there, but whatever is happening in your life, you are responsible for that. And you have to take the responsibility. It is your Paurusha, with that you have to make your choice. And whatever you choose, according to that will be the life. In a few shlokas, Kathopanishad pictures it very well. So here also this change of the constitution, that the whole sadhana is to change the guna constitution of our being. That entirely depends on our will, on our choice, that whether I want to become Sattvika or not. And the Sattva Guna is clearly defined in the 14th chapter. What are the results of it? What are the results of Rajoguna? What are the results of Tamaguna? So we can easily identify, why am I behaving like this? So which guna is prominent? We can analyze and we can change our ahara. Ahara means not only food, whatever we are eating, whatever we are seeing, whatever we are listening, whatever we are reading, whatever we are thinking, all are inputs from the world. If we change the inputs, accordingly our being also will undergo change. So he said, yesterday we did, we'll just read it. Buddher Vedam Dhritesh This is 29th verse of 18th chapter. Yesterday we did it, last day we did it. Buddher Vedam Dhritesh
Buddhir-bhedam dhriteshchaiva
Gunatas-trividham shrinu
Gunatas-trividham shrinu
Prochyamanamasheshena
Prochyamanamasheshena
Prithaktvena dhananjaya
Prithaktvena dhananjaya
Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha
Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha
Karya karye bhaya bhaye
Karya karye bhaya bhaye
Bandham moksham cha yaveti
Bandham moksham cha yaveti
Buddhissa partha sattviki.
Buddhissa partha sattviki.
This we did to some extent. See, pravrittim and nivrittim. I had explained that pravritti means always we want to go ahead with something. So generally I explained that day with respect to possessiveness, that we have sufficient, again we go on adding to it till we become fed up of, the other ancillary disturbances and agitations. Then we start condemning the fate. Actually we have increased the troubles by our own greed and our own nature of pravritti. Then when that becomes torturous, when that is creating problem, then we generally condemn our fate. So he says the Sattvika buddhi will be able to make out what is pravritti and what is nivritti. That day I talked about material possessiveness, but it is equally true about the knowledge also. There are people who would go on reading, Vedas also they will finish. Any book you give, they will try to gulp the book completely and read another like that. So this is another pravritti. See, the knowledge also it might be a little sattvika pravritti, but we have to understand with the sattvika buddhi that it is pravritti. That we are creating. We are supposed to, why are we reading any shastra? To understand the truth. And a few shlokas should be normally enough to understand it, because it is saying the same thing everywhere. Now, while reading, where is our focus? It is towards understanding, or that I have read Bhagavad Gita, I have read Bhagavatam, I have read this Upanishad, that Upanishad. So when the reading shifts to I have read so many things, means pravritti. Now this, if we have a sattvika buddhi, it must tell us that you are doing a mistake. Suppose you go on adding to your sadhana various things. I do this yoga, that yoga, then read for some time Upanishad, then meditate for some time, then go to this satsang, go to that satsang, then listen to this lecture, that lecture. You have to find out whether it is really satsang you are looking for, or it is becoming a possession for it that you have done so many things. Even about guru also you will find that some people I have met 5 realized saints. That is, one saint, one guru will not suffice. I have had 5 gurus and all of them are great gurus. But with that, what has happened to you? That you have to tell about your gurus only even now, that I have 5 gurus. What did the guru say? At least one guru say you speak about that. See, it is not necessary to have like this, but we miss the goal. By going on adding, because of some other, this is also a desire. The desire to read, desire to mug up, desire to know so many shastras. These are all under pravritti. This is a little subtle kind of pravritti. The gross pravrittis are all there for enjoyment, for having more riches, more factories, more and more this, that and all. We go on adding. That is pravritti. You can add anything provided you are not affected by it. Where the pravritti is becoming difficult? Because it will cause you trouble also. If you are not affected by trouble, when things come, let them come. When things go, let them go. Then it is fine. That is like the last but one verse of 2nd chapter. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudramapahas pravishanti yadvad. Tadvad kamahayam pravishanti sarve sa shantim apnoti. Na kama kami. That is like the sea. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. From everywhere water is coming. Some water are very pure, sacred water. Some water are from the nala, the garbage, rotten water. Sea doesn't say anything. The ocean doesn't say anything. It doesn't prevent the wrong water to come. It doesn't attract more the pure water. But all the water become sea water going there. They become one there. So that oneness, with that oneness, it is attracting the variety from all sides. Apuryamanam, it never overflows. It is getting filled. At the same time, it is allowing the vapor to go out. So it is automatic balance. Samudram apaha pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamahayam pravishanti sarve. Like that, when all the desireful objects, they are all coming into your life. Na kama kami. You are not running after them. You are not running after anything you like or running away from anything you dislike. That you are not running after. They are coming. It might be a huge kingdom or a huge palace also, it has come. But you don't feel elated by their coming. And you don't feel depressed when they go away also. If you win the war, you don't feel elated. If you lose the war also, you don't feel depressed. So it is again in our affectation that matters. So you can have anything you have. It will not be a pravritti provided you are remaining unaffected. There lies the spirituality. So a sattvika knowledge will always give you that. You will remain unaffected. Otherwise, what will happen? A knower will not like to have ashrams. Why did we build this CIRD here? Why did Swamiji go for this CIRD here, CIRD in Delhi, CIRD in Malaysia? It will appear like a pravritti. Because why are you increasing all these properties and here and there? It is done with the idea of doing lokasangra. It cannot be done only from our ashram. Wherever there is a growth of it, it will work as a center for lokasangra. That is the idea. But in the process, suppose Swamiji develops a possessiveness about that and starts feeling that I have 3 centers, this, that and all, or starts getting affected by because the center is not looked after properly, there is no devotee, nobody comes for any sadhana, it is just lying unused. All others are affected that the centers are lying unused. Swamiji is not affected at all. He says, हमें करना है, हम किया है, वो जो होगा वो तो बाद में देखने का है. Devotees will come and something will happen. Even if something not happens also, I have done my work, whatever to be done. I have not desired for it, it has come naturally. It came as a need, and whatever to be done, we have been doing. Everywhere it is like that. And when that Delhi Sainik Farm ashram, which was again built with lot of enthusiasm during that time, it became that it is not serving the purpose, it is going the tangentially. Just one day's decision, he left the ashram. Walk away. Sannyasi's life is like that. He gave a big talk, which was, I have written in A Great Association, hearing that many people felt coming to Sangha also, that everything has got its plus and minus. So, it is all in the, so you cannot call that a pravritti because it is not creating, it is not out of a possessiveness. Do you get it? It is not in the matter of how much of material you have, how many centers you have, or how much of riches you have, or where you are staying, how you are staying. It doesn't matter at all. Whether your mind is getting affected or not affected. So the Sattvika buddhi has to tell you, will you do it or not? It will tell you sometimes that don't get further involved in it, there is this problem, that problem. And it will tell you that, okay, if it is necessary and it is for the society, you take it, but take it easy. Many things may not happen as we think it will happen. When the Delhi CIRD money was, all these things I have written, nobody reads Great Association. The money was not coming. We had already given 3 installments. The 4th installment, there was no money. So naturally, it will be, according to the rules, the other 3 installments also will be confiscated. So people were worried that, let us do this, let us do that, or collect fund. These people, they have said that they will contribute, because if you keep 1 unit for them, then this industrialist will contribute. So many suggestions came. So we are not going to budge an inch from our own principle, that it is an ashram. Those who contribute on their own voluntarily, we accept. It cannot be on any condition at all, that we have to keep a room for him. What he is going to do with the room, nobody can say. We cannot give. The rooms will be reserved for the seekers. Whenever seekers come, the rooms will be used. We cannot go by any condition, whether money comes or not. And he said that it is, after all, we have given to the government. You have not given. So the money will remain with the government. Government has to spend it for some welfare purposes only. So how does it matter? Then the money came and we had it. But money might not have come also. So it is a question of non-possessive attitude which matters. That is the Sattvika buddhi. And one who is able to carry on with that Sattvika buddhi, whatever it says, whatever the Sattvika buddhi says, that is the Sattvika Dhriti. Say, your buddhi is saying it is so, but when you are in the actual field, you are not able to follow it. That means buddhi is Sattvika, but the Dhriti has not come. As I am saying that here, you will be able to understand well, because I am supplying the Sattva guna through the words. It is a buddhi to buddhi approach. I am using illustration, words, various examples, etc. to approach your buddhi so that you can understand. That means actually what is happening? The Sattva guna which is there in my brain, I am using it through the words, I am trying to transfer it to the listeners so that the listeners also understand. This is what is happening. But when you are going out and you are living without the lecture, that is afterwards when you are practicing, then unless your Sattva guna is enhanced, whatever you have understood, it will not remain with you. It will fall off. So to keep the truth, you have to develop the Satya Dhriti. That means the Sattvika Dhriti has to be there to retain the truth. So similarly, karya. That means karya and akarya. What is to be done and what is not to be done. It is also not always simple. What is to be done and what is not to be done. Generally, a good person will go by the honesty, dharmika laws, that law of righteousness. But always you cannot determine by that. In many cases, you have to come to a decision for a greater good. Many things have to be done. There, those who are very staunch moral followers, they will not be able to do whatever to be done. For example, Bolo? Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir was so clinging to his truthfulness that he is a truthful person. He will never say a lie. So when the lie had to be told that Drona, that your son, Ashwathama hata iti kunjara, Ashwathama has died, he refused to speak. Then they had to take the clever means of elephant, you give the name Ashwathama, then kill the elephant, then say Ashwathama hata iti kunjara in a lower. Then also the drummers were asked to beat the drum so that Drona doesn't listen to the last part of it. But maybe Drona knew all these things, who knows? That whatever is written in the Mahabharata. Because Drona and Bhishma right from the beginning they are saying that you win. They are blessing the Pandavas to win. But they have to pacify Duryodhana also, that they have killed my son. What can I do? I left my weapons. So it may not be always the straightforward moral way. It is moral in the ultimate sense. That is, it is for some higher good, one has to speak. So it is not so simple that karya and akarya, that I have read the dharma and I know what is to be done and what is not to be done. A sattvika buddhi is necessary for that, to understand what is to be done and what is not to be done. So in the Kathopanishad, they are saying that Shreyas and Preyas. This is very applicable here. That what is Karya and what is Akarya is depending for a seeker. He is a seeker of Shreyas. As Arjuna said in the second chapter, Yes, Shreyasyat Nishchitam Bruhitan me. That I am a seeker of Shreyas. You tell me where lies Shreyas for me. So a seeker will always look for the Shreyas. Now he has to know where lies the Shreyas. Suppose a situation has come where the Shreyas lies in taking the path A or taking the path B. How will you know? So today I had given a thumb rule. Earlier also I have said that it is just to look within and find out that if I take this path A, am I feeling an expansion inside, a strength inside, a lightness inside, or am I feeling a weakness inside, guilt or weakness inside, a contraction inside, a heaviness inside? That will tell you what you are, because in effect we are all the souls. In our real identity we are all the soul, that the soul voice is always there from within. Because of external greed and fear and all those things, fear of losing what we like, fear of facing what we dislike, all these things, they don't allow us to listen to the voice of the soul. The moment we look within, we are able to find out what is the path of Shreyas. So karya, what is to be done and what is not to be done for a seeker, he has to find out by looking within. Now what is this looking within? When we are looking within rather than guided by the external circumstances, is it not I have won over the slavery of the external objects and objective situation, and I am looking from my voice within, from the Atma? Is it not? So you are getting anchored to your soul. Your buddhi is getting anchored to your soul. That is the Viveka buddhi, that is the Yoga buddhi, and that is the Sattvika buddhi also. So the Sattvika buddhi is always anchored to the soul. It is getting its instruction from the soul. Just like a charioteer is compared with the buddhi in Kathopanishad. So to run the chariot, it has to ask the master where he would like to go. In the driver of a car, the driver has to ask the master, where do you want to go? Now, generally, we are not asking the master. Master is sitting quietly behind. We are taking the horses wherever they feel like going. That is, seeing the grass, it will go into the eating grass, sometimes leaving the road. And the mind also is the rein. That is the mind. So, mind will be dragged by the horses, and I am, as a charioteer, I am releasing them to go wherever wherever the senses go. I am allowing the mind also to go behind them to satiate itself, but never looking at the master of the chariot, the soul who is sitting inside. Where do you want to go? It is the same thing. When we look at the master of the chariot and ask, means we are getting anchored in the soul, taking the voice from the soul, from the inner voice. Is it clear? We have all the pictures, but I am not feeling like showing any of the slides. These are all slides are there which will make it a little clearer perhaps. So, pravrittim cha nivrittim cha, where we have to withdraw and where we have to take up. These are all not easy decisions to be made. There the Sattvika buddhi will guide us the right decision also. That where we are getting entangled into more and more of possessiveness, or what we are doing out of only. Suppose the other day I was telling you about our Vaidyan, that he came crying that the government is taking his land. Normally it is okay, what will you do? You will sympathize him, what can you do? The government is taking away, so you cannot do anything, or go to the court, try to fight out as far as possible. Swamiji said, why not you give? You have not done with the land anything for so many years. You have got it from your father and you have not utilized the land. When the land is being utilized by the government, why don't you give it? And he was happy giving it. So this karya also has to be decided by a Sattvika buddhi. If we don't have the Sattvika buddhi, we will take advice from a person who has the Sattvika buddhi. That will guide us. Bhaya bhaye, where is the fear and where is no fear? Generally, our fear is always centered on losing what we like and facing what we dislike, what we do not like. So, the bhaya is generally it is decided by our again possessiveness. What we don't want to lose what we like, and we don't want to face what we dislike. But actually this should be defined also by what is needed in that particular condition. We will have here the Balakrishna Vaidyan was having a fear of losing the property. But that losing the property became a joy for him. So it is actually an abode of fearlessness, that whenever we are doing something for the greater cause and all, should we fear it or should we have fearlessness in doing that? Suppose we are fighting for a great cause or anything. There also, should we have fear or should we have fearlessness there? And there also, Kena Upanishad says, the Atmana Vindate Viryam. Where from the courage comes? It is right there within us. In the Great Association, I have written that seeing Swamiji leading the procession and all, where people are with sword and all to kill, hanging, swords are hanging right in front, they are all against. Where from he is getting the courage? People used to ask that, where from you get the courage? That one is there, then the courage of going against the so-called temple practices. Everybody used to say that that Devi was associated with smallpox. So Swamiji very soon will die out of smallpox, they used to say at that time. Swamiji used to say the smallpox is eradicated. How the Devi doesn't have any function then if you say that she has only a smallpox in her weapon? So anyway, the people used to say all these things, where from he is getting courage. It is not only that, in getting arrested and talking to the people, you see the pictures there, how smilingly he is facing all that. The police also used to get changed accordingly. So there will be fear of getting arrested, fear of facing the police, fear of the divine fear of the Devi, the other fear of the facing the hooligans and with the swords and all. All these fears, and how could he face? It is because the fear, the abode of fearlessness he is hosting. It is because of the Atmana Vindate Virya. It has to be done, and it is not done out of wrath or enmity. The people whom he was fighting, he had all the love for the people, all the sympathy for the people. They are ignorant, they don't know. We must never condemn them. Try to give them knowledge, try to save them, because this whole society is going to be corrupted by that. So, these are all from the Sattvika buddhi. That to tell us where we should have real fear and where we should not have fear. All these things are decided by that. Bandham moksham jaya veti. This is the last one in the buddhi. One who knows where lies the bondage and where lies the liberation. That is, which will bind us more and which will reduce the bondage. This is part of the discussion we are having. Now, one incident, it's difficult to say because it's a real incident in my life itself, but I think it helps people, it will help people. I have told also sometimes. One very big project was given, and the DRDO, the Defense Research Organization, DRDO, they agreed to finance that project. It was a very big project in those days. I am talking about 1980s. It was given, and we were the main people in that. But very soon we discovered, in giving some order, there was gross irregularity taking place with the highest of the position from the director's level, including some other dean and all also. Anybody will be fearful about the situation. Then we understood that, not only understood, it was directly, we came across a detail I am not saying, that because some machine was being purchased, equipment were being purchased, the companies had come, and in that discussion, we discovered that it is absolutely going to be a wrong purchase. Such a huge project. So we came out, and we three of us were there. From the one professor was much senior than me, another was more or less of my. We discussed that we have understood that there going to be corruption, and it has nothing to do with the project will go wrong, because it is a inverted purchase sort of a thing, which has to be purchased after 3 years is getting now, and whatever to be purchased now, it is not being considered. That was the situation in brief. So I told that we are going to tell about it. Will you be with me, the other two? They said that we will be together, because it is not going to be easy. Anything can happen. This bhaya I am saying, that where is the fear and where is not the fear. So we entered the director's room again, and I said that actually, according to the project proposal, this is not to be purchased. We have to get these items first. Only when we are successful in this, we can think of this production equipment. Now the production equipment will have nothing to do with that. It will sit idle like an elephant. We have no purpose in doing it. Okay, I know, we will get that also later. Let us have this now. They have their way of speaking and all. I simply said that, sir, please relieve me of this project. I cannot take this responsibility. This is going to be wrong. No, we will go, see this equipment, you have to go to UK, then you have to go to Japan, this is that he's putting the carrot. I said, no, I am not interested in that. It is going to be wrong, I feel. So I cannot be, although we have labored hard on submitting the proposal, we have labored very, very hard, but I cannot take it up anymore. So he agreed. I came away. But the senior-most person did not speak a word. He remained with the project. After I have gone to, within a few years I left, by next year or so, I left and I joined the ashram. One day in the newspaper, seeing the news, suddenly I was so surprised. No, it is just the truth has been revealed. I showed to Swamiji, I took the news to Swamiji. Swamiji, this is something which has happened in my life. It is now the final part of the whole picture is coming. The senior-most person, who was an excellent professor, excellent research person also, who was with us, he's a very good person, simple person, he had committed suicide. What is the reason? He used to tell his wife every day coming back that these people will not allow me to live. So that he is going to commit suicide, it was coming up slowly. Why? Because the project went into a dark phase and they came, they investigated, DRDO people came, investigated, there was a lot of badnami, the ill reputation and all. He could not defend anything. He was the chief there. And the higher ups, that is Dean, Director, they put all the load on him. And towards the end, for the last 6 months or 1 year, I don't remember, another newspaper had written, he wanted to be relieved of the project. He was asking the director to please relieve me of the project, relieve me of the project. But at that time, who will relieve him? Because they are going to dump everything on him. And it became so much of a mental torture that he committed suicide. Now, why am I saying this? Bhaya, bhaya. No, abhaya and bhaya. Now, what was the purpose? Where lies the fear? I had no problem. I stood by my righteousness and my understanding. I could understand what is going to happen finally. Not that I knew the detail, that somebody will commit suicide and this will happen, DRD also will, there will be ill reputation. So much might not have happened. That much I did not know. But the step was going the wrong way. If we agree to that purchase, means the whole thing is gone. It is starting on a wrong footing. So karya is involved there. Pravritti, nivritti is involved. Bhaya is involved. Moksha, bandha, everything is involved. It is only because of the Sattvika buddhi that I am not interested in anything. Our mantra had been Baba's Kichui China. Baba used to say, Kichui China. Kichui China means we want nothing from anywhere, anybody, anytime, anything. This is the Maha Mantra. With that we will do whatever we are doing. That is the abode of fearlessness. When you say, I don't want anything from anybody, anytime, anywhere in the world, then what do you fear? Let anything happen. We will do our work, whatever we can do, best possible manner we will do. So this dispossessiveness, this is called dispossessiveness. Kichui China means I don't want anything, means it is a dispossessiveness. With that you can have a palace also. It doesn't matter. As Janaka Raja was having, the other day I told you, Shukadeva was running away with a small bundle of clothes. And Janaka Raja is sitting quiet in his palace where there is a fire. So Shukadeva, even he could not leave the possessiveness about his 2 pair of sets of clothes or so. Whereas Janaka Raja, having a huge palace, he was not upset about it. He would take the measure to quench the fire, to douse the fire. So that is the Sattvika buddhi. Now this Sattvika buddhi, if we culture, it should lead to Sattvika Dhriti also. This Sattvika buddhi a speaker can generate in you in a limited way. But the Dhriti has to be generated completely by the sadhak. That the guru cannot do anything. Even in a guru also, the guru can give you the Sattvika buddhi in understanding and everything. But whether you pursue it and develop into a Sattvika Dhriti, that entirely depends on the disciple. The guru cannot do anything there. Normally it should be. Living with the guru, the Sattvika Dhriti also should come. But in many cases it doesn't come because you don't want it. Now once we understand this Sattvika, now only one thing we have to understand, remember, is that this inward oneness and outward multiplicity. That we are slave to this multiplicity of the world because of our ragadvesha, our likes for our clinging to what we like and hatred or intolerance towards what we dislike. And that is governing that is pulling the mind, pulling the senses, pulling the mind, pulling the buddhi, etc. The whole thing is inverted. The buddhi is anchored in our real identity, which is always impersonality, unaffectedness, universality, etc. Once the buddhi is anchored there, the buddhi will work on the mind and try to induce that oneness in the mind. And once the mind is induced with that oneness, it will govern the indriyas also properly. This is the whole thing. Now, whenever the buddhi is anchored in the soul, it is called Sattvika buddhi, it is called yoga buddhi, it is called viveka buddhi, whatever you may call, this is the way. Yoga buddhi also is like that. It is yoga buddhi means the buddhi is in union with the soul, with the real being, with the real identity. Viveka also is that. Viveka is used in a little lesser sense, but actually it is so the height of Viveka is the same as the yoga buddhi. Now, in the Rajasika case, they don't have that. They may have buddhi, they may have morality, they may have tremendous energy also, but it is all based on that partial, the differential vision. This I like, this I don't like, this I want to have, this I did not do. So it's a partial, it's a differential vision that predominates in the case of a Rajasika person. And for the Tamasika person, it is all covered with delusion and ulta, reverse understanding. So I will just read these 2 verses and stop. 31st verse. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha
Yaya dharmam adharmam cha
karyam cha karyameva cha
karyam cha karyameva cha
ajathavat prajanati
ajadhavat prajanati
buddhissa partha rajasi.
buddhissa partha rajasi.
See, here it is dharma and adharma, karya and akarya. What is to be done, what is not to be done, where lies dharma, where lies adharma. Ayathavat prajanati. He doesn't know it in the proper sense, improperly. That buddhi tells him improperly. That buddhi is called rajasi. And second one, next one. Adharmam dharmamitiya
Adharmam dharmamitiya
manyate tamasavrita.
manyate tamasavrita.
Adharmam dharmamitiya
Adharmam dharmamitiya
manyate tamasavrita.
manyate tamasavrita.
Sarvarthan viparitamscha
Sarvarthan viparitamscha
buddhissa partha tamasi.
buddhissa partha tamasi.
We will take it up tomorrow. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaradihinam prasannam sada nityabodhasvarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sadanusmarami pranomi. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaradihinam prasannam sada param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sadanusmarami pranomi.